Hello students, today we are going to discuss the topic DFT, that is the discrete Fourier transform. So let us see how we find the discrete Fourier transform. An important point to be noted here is that in DFT, both the time domain signal and the frequency domain signal are discrete in nature. Like the time domain signal xn or fn and the frequency domain signal, both are going to be discrete in nature. This you have to observe. So if they are discrete in nature, if we have to find their addition, so we will be using summation instead of integration because they are discrete in nature. So let us see the major formula for DFT. So if we have a time domain signal given by Fn, so n is denoting the time here, which is discrete in nature, and we are going to find the DFT for this time domain signal. So the DFT is denoted by capital F of k, and it is defined as sigma n equal to 0 to capital N minus 1 Fn e raised to the power minus jk 2 pi by capital N into small n. So this is the standard formula to find DFT for a given signal. Now, the signal Fn, that is the time domain signal, exists from 0 to capital N minus 1, and the value of small k varies from 0 to capital N minus 1. So this will be given in the question, like from where to where your signal is varying. And depending on that, we will be considering the values. Now, this is the manner in which we find DFT, that is, we are converting the time domain signal into the frequency domain signal. Now, inverse is also to be found, like sometimes we have to find the inverse DFT. So, for finding the inverse, we have a second set of formula, that is small fn. So this is the time domain signal is equal to 1 upon capital N sigma k equal to 0 to n minus 1 f of k e raised to the power jk 2 pi by capital N into small n. So here you can see, like, capital Fk is the frequency domain signal, and we are using the frequency domain signal to find out the time domain signal. So this particular formula is used for inverse DFT. And the value of small n always varies from 0 to capital N minus 1. Suppose the value of capital N is 16, let's say. So it will be 16 minus 1, 15. So small n will vary from 0 to 15, something like that. So you have to keep in mind both these formulas. Next comes the properties of DFT. Like we have studied the properties of various transforms, similarly we have properties for DFT also. So the first property is the time reversal property. What does this say? It states that if you have a signal x of n in time domain, let's say, and what we are trying to say, x of minus n, if we take x of minus n, this is referred to as time reversal. Like we are taking the negative of time. Time was n originally, now we are considering minus n. So if I change n to minus n, then what effect we see on the frequency domain, we can see that also changes to capital X of minus k. So if the DFT of xn was capital Xk, we can say the DFT of x of minus n will be capital X of minus k. That is, we will replace everywhere wherever k was coming in the result with minus k to obtain the result. Another important factor which we must note here is, like if we take x of minus n, then it will be equal to x of capital N minus n. This you will observe through signals, like you will see, like if you add capital N to time, so this will not have any effect on the signal. This kind of phenomena you have observed where the signals are periodic, like if we add a constant number, like suppose sine, you have sine x, So sin x will be periodic with a time period of 2 pi. Like if we keep on adding 2 pi to it, the signal remains unchanged, something like that. So this is the first property, that is time reversal. The second property is the circular time shift. Now, what does this say? If I shift the signal in time domain, like I was having xn, so now I am writing x of n minus L. So there is a shift of L. So what will be the effect on DFT? Initially DFT was xk. Now xk will be multiplied by an extra factor which depends on the value of shift, that is L. So you can see it is e raised to the power minus j 2 pi kl upon capital N. So this is the circular time shift property. The third property is the complex conjugate property. This is very important. So if we have a signal xn whose DFT is capital Xk, now what I do, I take the conjugate of signal xn. You know how we take conjugate of complex numbers? Like suppose I have a complex number 2 plus 3 iota. So its conjugate will be 2 minus 3 iota. That is, I take negative of the imaginary part. If I do something like that, then what will happen to the transform? The transform will also turn to its conjugate and the values of k will be replaced by minus k wherever it is coming. So these are the first three properties of DFT. Next, we come on to the fourth property of DFT, that is the circular convolution. Now let us say we have two signals, one is x1 of n and the second one is x2 of n. I have the DFT of x1 of n as capital X1k and DFT of x2 of n as capital X2k. Now, if I take circular convolution of the two signals, this is the symbol of circular convolution. If I take it, then in the output, what we will observe, the values of capital X1 and capital X2 get multiplied. So we can say that in the circular convolution in time domain is equivalent to multiplication in the frequency domain. This is circular convolution. Next, let us see multiplication of two sequences. Now suppose instead of taking convolution, I just multiply x1n and x2n. So what will happen in RHS? You can see in RHS we take circular convolution. So we can say that multiplication in time domain is equivalent to circular convolution in the frequency domain. Another thing you have to notice, the result gets divided by capital N here. So this is what happens when two sequences are multiplied. And the last one is the Parseval's theorem. This is very important. So what does Parseval's theorem say? It states that sigma small n equal to 0 to capital N minus 1. If I take the summation of all like modulus of xn square. We take the mod of xn and then square it and add all the terms, then it would be equal to 1 upon capital N sigma. We add all the terms of capital Xk. Again, we take modulus and their square. So where this property is helpful, it is helpful like sometimes it is not easy to carry out this summation in the time domain. So we carry out the equivalent summation in the frequency domain where the terms can be easily added up. And here capital Xk is denoting the DFT of Xn. So these are the properties of DFT. Thank you so much for watching the video.